All right, so according to my template, I need to sort of start to make my piece expand out. So I'm gonna make my next coil form to make my piece become a little bit wider. So I'm just gonna roll this. If you feel like your coil is drying out, if you put down a little bit of water, you can bring it back to life a little bit, resurrect it. Bring my piece closer to me. So now my next one, I want it to start getting wide, so I want to set it out a little bit. So what I like to do is can just kind of tap the rim to make it a little bit thicker so that it has more surface area for the next piece to attach to. One thing that I find really helpful is to use a paddle or a wooden spoon to just kind of tap on it, and it makes it easy. The paddle is going to be your friend throughout this project, and I will show you as soon as we get a little bit higher how the paddle really works to make your piece really uniform and very smooth. So I'm going to score this whole section. Again, my clay is really wet. This clay is really wet, so I don't have to score and slip too much, but I do want to have something on there. To start to make the piece go out, instead of going right on top, I'm going to go a little on the outside of the piece so that it starts to change the shape and makes it start to belly out to make start to make the rounded belly of the vase. So I'm just going to put it on there. I cut just a little bit, knowing that I'm probably going to need to cut more, but it's just easier to work with a piece that kind of fits as opposed to a long extra coil. So first thing you're going to do is compress it down to make sure it's seated on there really nicely. And if you notice now, see how it starts to come out just a little bit? You want this to be gradual. You don't want it to be very sharp in how it starts to go out. So you want to, each coil you place until you get that belly that you want, each coil that you place is going to go out just a little bit more, a little bit more. That way you don't risk collapsing your whole piece. So from here, I keep my hand on the outside to support my form. I'm gonna come back to that spot last. Where they attach together, I have a little bit of extra clay. I'm just gonna rip it off. And then I'm gonna smooth them together. If you try and smooth the ends together before you get it seated on the whole piece, it'll just be frustrating. So wait to do that last. And then I really like to make sure I'm compressing. And what I mean by compressing is I'm just using my fingers to pinch around to really make sure that those two pieces are attached. Depending on how big the opening is at the top, you might be able to see into your piece. If it's really small, you might not. But nonetheless, I like to make the piece as refined looking as I can and nice. So that way it just shows a high level of craftsmanship. So to work on the edge, sometimes it's easier to move it to the edge so you don't have all this stuff in your way. I just keep turning it to make it a little bit easier for me to access that edge. If I'm smearing on the outside, then I'm supporting on the inside. If I'm smearing on the inside, I'm supporting on the outside. So it's important to support, or else you will lose control of your shape. And then I just pinch around again. And at this point, I can kind of pinch the lower part. You want to avoid pinching all the way at the rim, because the rim is what your next coil is going to set on, and if it's too thin, it will be hard to attach. So I avoid pinching at the rim. I'm kind of pinching below it. All right, so I added my 3 coils on. In the next segment, I'm gonna show you how to reinforce the bottom, as well as evaluate my form and smooth with the paddle or a rib to make any adjustments to it, and also to make it look nice and refined.